Here's a question worth sitting with. If someone gave you exactly what you wanted, whenever you wanted it, for free, would that be a gift or a curse? This Japanese folktale is known as Kappa Dokuri, the kappa and the sake bottle. Gorobe was not a complicated man. He woke before sunrise and worked his fields with his beloved horse Owl until the light faded. He ended each day the same way, by singing his favourite folk songs as he led his trusty steed home, and with a cup of sake before bedtime. With Owl warm in his stable, a few simple pleasures was all he ever needed. One such evening, as Gorobe watched Owl at the river's edge, the horse suddenly lurched. He gave a violent neigh, as it seemed to be pulled into the deep. The reins snapped taut, then went slack, and Owl stumbled into the shallows, wild-eyed and trembling. Something wet and strange was clinging to his tail. Green, small, shaped almost like a crouching child. On top of its head sat a shallow dish of water. Its scaly skin smelled of river mud, and its eyes were bright with fear as much as cunning. Gorobe shouted for help. The villagers came running with hoes and sticks. They seized the creature and tied it to a great tree. It was a kappa. That night, exhausted from the day's commotion, Gorobe drank sake and went to bed earlier than usual. Yet he could not sleep. The wind moved through the branches, and to him it sounded almost like the weeping voice of the kappa. So he rose, went outside, and found the kappa still bound there in the dark. Its voice was weak. With tears rolling down its face, it said, "Please, I was only trying to feed my children. Forgive me. I will never harm another." Gorobe stood there for a long time. He tried to resist the sense of pity he felt for this little water monster, but he could not. He cut the rope and freed the kappa. "This time only," he said. "Do not trouble anyone again." The kappa bowed low, nearly spilling the water from the dish on its head, and vanished into the darkness. Before dawn, Gorobe dreamed that the kappa stood at his door. It said, "In return for your kindness, I will leave a sake bottle on your step. It will give you as much sake as you want. But be careful. The moment you tap the bottom, it will give no more." When he woke, the bottle was there. He tipped it once cautiously, and sake flowed out, cool, rich, and better than any he had ever tasted before. He drank, and he was happy. Then he kept drinking. Soon the days began to lose their shape. The fields were left untended. They became overgrown with grass and weeds. The sake tasted so good that stopping became harder and harder each day, and so he did not stop. The temptation was simply too great. Weeks passed. Then one afternoon, he heard a slow knocking through the wall, from the direction of the stable. He went to the window and looked in. Owl stood there in the dim light, all ribs and bone, hollow, wasted. The horse turned and looked at him with such quiet sadness that Gorobe became overcome with the pain of regret. Gorobe sat down beside Owl in the straw and wept. "I was a good man once," he said. "How cruel I have been to neglect you. I forgot how happy I was to work with you." He sat there for a long time. Then he remembered what the kappa had told him. He rushed back inside, picked up the bottle, and struck the bottom hard. At once, the sake stopped. He struck it again, and again, and again. Nothing came out. The bottle had become an ordinary piece of earthenware, nothing more. That night, he fed Owl. In the morning, they went back out together to the fields. The river was still there. The mist still rose over the paddies, and Gorobe's singing carried out across the land as it always had before. He did not need that bottle. He never had. This tale was passed down in Nishikubo in what is now Chigasaki in Kanagawa Prefecture, and belongs to the old Japanese tradition of mukashi banashi, stories carried by word of mouth through ordinary communities. Like many Kappa tales, it begins with danger at the water's edge, but it does not end by asking whether the Kappa is monstrous. It asks whether a human being can be trusted with desire. The Kappa repaid mercy with a promise, and kept that promise. Gorobe was the one who failed and lost himself in the thing he loved most, and he was brought back to his senses not by punishment, but by the sight of a suffering horse. Sometimes, those that cannot speak are the ones to tell you exactly what you need to hear. And that is the sting of the story. Evil had not come to him from the watery depths. It was already waiting for him at home. The magic sake bottle is said to have been kept by the Kumuro Yoshi family, descendants of Gorobe himself, in Chigasaki city. The graves of both Gorobe and the Kappa are maintained in the local village, and the place where the story is said to have taken place is proudly marked with a large PR signboard. The people of that place did not forget the story. They kept the bottle, they tended the graves, both of them, even the Kappas. That perhaps tells you everything. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.